I don't think it's coincidental that as we started gathering in the name of this awakened mind, that we're starting to affect the collective in more powerful ways now. Affect the collective, we're untying knots from the collective. And so let's continue. May all these world leaders, people with power, anybody with influence over somebody else, may they swiftly gain wisdom and compassion, no matter what it takes for them to gain that. But may the harm of sentient beings and the confusion, may that end. Okay, so let's go into this Longchen text. This is usually reserved for the night session, my night session anyway, other people's morning session. And now we've switched it up. We're going to be reading this in both sessions. And for those who don't know, this is by Longchen Rabjam, also known as Longchenpa, who's a great yogi from the 1300s. And he has several treatises. And this is the way of abiding, the precious treasury of the way of abiding. He has several treasuries and also several treatises. So I think it's 7 treasuries that they've translated. And the way of abiding is probably in my favorites list if I'm going to play favorites. Basic space of precious treasury of the basic space of phenomenon and the precious treasury of the way of abiding are my favorites. And they actually tie into each other so well that you could read a section of the way of abiding and almost find its direct match in the basic space of phenomenon. So let me make sure there aren't any questions here before we started. We stopped reading the Naguma text. It was ended up one of those that I just introduced but didn't want to go through because the vibe of the group. The vibe of the group with the new people that were coming in and the discussions and sharings that were taking place, it was more Longchenpa naked Dzogchen. And I didn't feel it was an appropriate time to load up a bunch of enumerations and Mahayana provisions. It just wasn't a good time to, for example, new people like who just started showing up, Alicia and Leo and others. You can find all that stuff. Yeah, Anili and others. I just feel like introducing you all to pure Dzogchen is probably best. Making sense, right? Okay, yeah. And, even if I get blamed for throwing you in the deep end, that's fine. I know, I'm pretty sure I trust my teachers over everything. So, yeah, this was published in 1998, translated by Richard Barron. And it outlines these 4 great Dzogchen samayas, as they're called. So, of course, your mind has 4 aspects. Anybody remember what the 4 Dzogchen samayas are? Dorje Lekpa's like, I would, but I can't use acronyms. Yeah, ineffability, openness, pure presence, and oneness. Mm-hmm. And those have different translations depending on context sometimes. But here, I like Richard Barron's choice of translation. Equality, evenness is mentioned a lot, but generally, equality wouldn't be in there. I think Onga got it there. All right. And so they all weave into each other. Remember, the colors weave into each other too. So, for example, Lynn and I were discussing anger, and she felt that that was associated with red, which it can be. Desire typically gets associated with red in the five wisdoms schematic, but desire and anger are together. You understand that, right? For you to be angry, there has to be some desire there. And so, just like that, everything's mixed. When you see red, green, and blue, you never see just pure red. Even if you see the basis around the red, you're not seeing pure red. There's always going to be a mix. And so, right now, when you look at the screen, red, green, and blue, or RGB, are what make every picture. So, if you see a picture of a cat, it can be broken down into red, green, and blue, but you're not seeing red by itself. Making sense, right? Are you having the mix? So just like that, afflictions can mix, samayas can mix, everything intertwines like that, all right? So these four aspects are just talking about your mind, awareness. And Longchen talks about how awakened mind, that phrase, is synonymous with awareness. So the root verses starts off, everything is shown to be awakened mind. The kayas and timeless awareness of Buddhas throughout the three times, the body, speech, and mind of beings in the three realms, karma and afflictive emotions. Of all these phenomena of the world of appearances and possibilities, none is anything other than awakened mind. Now, you may object, and I would say reference the dream to see how your mind's capable of such a phenomenal, sensational, sort of outrageous thing. You know, like, how can there be a war where people are killing each other filled with hate and greed? How can that be awakened mind? Anybody want to give it a try? I already gave you a hint to compare it to a dream. If not, I understand. But I'll give you a hint again, or I'll give you the explanation again. When you go to sleep and you dream, let's say you have a dream of the most hellish war. Well, at no time has that not been pure cognizance. It's very, very logical and simple. You're dreaming of a war. There's blood, there's whatever. But the cognition itself, does the cognition get tainted? Do you wake up in the morning and say, dang, now I got a warhead? Yeah, Tonyan, it's just mind. And in that way, you're always safe. You're always protected. Because right now, it's all mind. But because the multidimensionality of duality, subject and object, is so powerful, we get convinced of that compartmentalization. Just like you can see that happening in a dream, too. You go to sleep and you think you're in the war. If we had true power over our minds, it wouldn't be able to trick us every time we go to sleep. I thought I was really in that war, but then I woke up. Why? How'd you get tricked by your own mind like that? But there was a knowingness there, a knowingness. There's a dream of a war happening right now. And so, yes, the appearance of a war may be there. But you are in the head that's having the dream. Yeah, go ahead, Oza.
Am I audible?
Yep.
Okay, super. Uh, the energy itself is also like not tainted by itself, right? But if we are stirred around in it and pulled by it, we can come to believe the energy is impure. But at least it doesn't seem like the appearance is pure, but the basis is appearance is impure, but the basis is pure. But it seems to me that the appearance itself, if you are looking at it just
Mhm.
as it is, it's also pure, right? That's just kind of
Exactly. Yeah.
my.
I like that you changed it from energy to appearance, because energy can be a misleading word, but it's all we got. It's not really energy in the sense that we would think of it in the material world. It's energy in the sense of a reflection on a mirror. That reflection is in no way inseparable or impure.
Oh yeah, that's the great analogy. I like that. Okay.
And it's never not luminosity. It's never not mind. So it's not like we have this energy that's separate from the mind or something like that. And sometimes when we talk about energy, it could seem that way.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like trying to get behind the energy or something like that, but that's not the attempts. I think that makes a lot of sense for it not to be like that.
Yeah, but it's a good point. All three are pure. Because and Longchen is saying that even the world of appearances, even all the possibilities, even body, speech, and mind of hell beings and animals, they're all awake in mind.
Thank you for
All right.
pronouncing that. Okay.
Well, thank you for pointing that out. So let's move on to the auto commentary here. Oh, what a fool I am, taking convoluted lights to be the permanent sky. Oh, the use of the word energy is modern terminology. Yeah, and sometimes it's called responsiveness and things like that. So that's why we keep it pretty loose in here, versatile. We don't mind calling it energy when it suits our purpose. We don't mind getting more nuanced and calling it responsiveness or reflectivity or reflexivity. There are different terminologies that are coming about in the modern age. Remember, Dzogchen is brand new to the world, and so are all these translations. The oldest Dzogchen in the West. Well, I'm not going to go into that right now. It has been around. Uh, there's Greco-Buddhism that was around in the 400 BCs. Okay, so I'm not saying that we haven't met with Dzogchen, but systematized, it hasn't been systematized. That would have been illegal for most of the Western world for many centuries under you know strict Judeo-Christian and Islamic laws. It would have been totally illegal. Oh, Dunyan, if you just learned about Greco-Buddhism, it's a fascinating rabbit hole. um, 400 BC, yeah, the Greeks met the Buddha Dharma, and that. Anyway, we could go on and on about that. So this is radical stuff, everybody, but it's not novel in any way. The Vedas talk about the same thing, that everything's Krishna, everything's God. But what they're saying with that is that everything is mind. Everything is just like in a dream, your pure mind. So we begin, and this, I'm really going to emphasize this for those of you who are out there getting frustrated in traffic, getting pissed off at people at work, getting in fights with your partners. Those are your teachers. That is God. If you can somehow begin to just go into that, where you begin to see, uh, you know, this jerk at the gas station, or this fight that I'm in right now is a teaching for me. It's insane, I know, but it's Dzogchen. And slowly we start to really come into that revelation, and everything is a kind of teacher, but also a kind of pure co-emergence of your mind. So in that way, it's a revelation. It's it doesn't necessarily have to be a teacher, is what I'm saying. but it can be. If you have a problem with somebody at work, you're having a problem with your own mind. If you have a problem, a discomfort with something in our world, then you have a problem with your own mind. You can actually let that be. Now, this is a very nuanced middle way point that I'm making. That doesn't mean, if I look out of my driveway and somebody's hurting my dog, that doesn't mean that I can't go out there and save my dog. It's a very nuanced point. You're still engaged with reality, so-called reality. Yeah, Gachin, did you want to join in?
Yeah, no, I guess I wanted to comment that like for a long time, and then I stopped. I practiced this um kind of like everything's a teacher, kind of like but I guess the way in which I did was kind of like somewhat contrived, right? Everything's a teacher, and my response to that was not middle way at all. It was just kind of like accepting it and just kind of like not really reacting to it, right? Like for example, if someone's being incredibly rude, I was like, it's fine. This is teaching me kind of like patience instead of, for example, just feeling my emotions, feeling the anger, and reacting in a way that, seemed reasonable to me at the time, and like there were times where, patience was what was roused in me, but there were times where I suppressed a genuine and I think quite valid anger in dealing with situations. And that's kind of like, it's quite, yeah, I agree, Katala. It's quite difficult to find that middle way in terms of, because what the lesson is that you're supposed to be learning, you can only intuit through awareness. And without that awareness, it's a bit contrived. That's what I wanted to
Exactly.
say.
Exactly. It's not difficult. It's actually quite easy to be uncontrived. It's harder to be contrived. That takes effort. To be your natural self is very easy. So, yeah, that's a great point there. And this is a radical thing that I don't even bring up that often because it's so radical to begin to see everything as a teaching. And, a lot of people will mistake that as inactivity and somehow you being passive in the face of injustice. But no, if there's somebody out there hurting my dog, I go out there and I hurt them. See, I'm a teaching for them now. Okay, very good. Harmful so no. I'm not hurting anybody, okay? But if people get hurt during your exchanges, you're teaching for them just as much as they're teaching for you. I'm gonna stop reading these comments. It's throwing me off today. Summer says, if they are the teacher, then haven't they been created as an object, which is in the beginning of discursive thought? Well, it depends. Luminosity isn't created or destroyed, so the luminosity of their mind is the luminosity of their mind. It's a co-emergent luminosity. But you're right. What you think of them is hugely important. I just told somebody that recently. I said, um, it was my stalker friend. I said not too long ago anyway. I said, all these things that you call me, angry, prideful, jealous, desirous, I'm all these things. I'm a full-blown idiot. I put it all out there, right? But when I die, all this goes with me, and the concepts will live on in your mind. You will still think I'm this and I'm that and I'm this and I'm that. When I die and I'm gone, you will still be having this image of me in your head. Even if you think I'm a Buddha, this body goes, the thought of me being a Buddha lives on in your head. Now, that's only for a conceptual person, okay? Not necessarily for awareness practitioners. I'm talking about when you have an idea of somebody, of who they are, instead of letting them be revealed to you. When you have this idea of who they are, that idea can stay with you for lifetimes. And you will never actually get to see who that person is. We do this to our partners, to our family. We say, this is who my girlfriend is. And we have all these ideas and constructs instead of letting this person show who they are. And then this person moves on, they're gone. Maybe they moved to Pluto. But your concepts are still here, right? Cozied up. So it's a good point, Summer. Overall, a good point, that ultimately it's a construct in our mind. Okay, Leo, did you want to join in there too?
Thanks. Yeah, I just wanted to appreciate what you were saying. And then you were getting very specific too, like with what it means to me. But yeah, I think a really great piece of advice I got is very similar to that, and it's forgiveness isn't actually between you and the person that you're forgiving. It's because the exact point, the person could die, or they could move to the other side of the planet, and you're still holding on to something. Forgiveness is just when you purge that from your system.
Yeah. Exactly. Very good. I like the terminology there, purging it from the system. Mm-hmm. You're holding something unnecessarily. It's cramped. It's uncomfortable. Okay, so yes, Yishin, for you, I will make time since you made time for us today. Dunyon saying if we allow them the space to show you who they are by being in presence with them. Yeah, precisely. Yeah, it's so much more. So you essentially have two options, two flavors you can try. Living in your head and believing all the stories and concepts and ideas and whatever else, or just saying, I have no idea. I have no clue. And try that out. What's that like? When you say, I don't know who this person is or what they are, even. Okay, very cool. Well, what happens when we create others in our mind to be a certain way? Because we're using them to purge ourselves. Well, purging wouldn't be. It's a faulty premise because purging and creating don't go together. We're talking about purging in the sense of self-liberation, in the sense of awareness practice. So when you forgive somebody, it's a relief, it's a going away of the creation. You create a story in your head why you need to be mad at somebody, and that story goes away. So let's just see what Longchenpa's auto commentary here is. Although gold has only a single essence, we may take it to be something marvelous when it is fashioned into a statue, or lovely when fashioned into bracelets and other ornaments, or unclean when fashioned into a bedpan. Nonetheless, in essence, it remains the same in its basic state of gold, or as gold. Just as there's no distinction of better or worse with respect to the element gold, regardless of how things appear, as the pure state of Buddhas, as the impure state of ordinary beings, as karma and habitual patterns, these states are merely imputed to be separate on the basis of temporary states of mind. Other than that, they are of one basic space, as awakened mind and its dynamic energy. And there's absolutely no distinction of better or worse within awakened mind. The all-creating monarch states, Buddhas, ordinary beings, karma, habitual patterns, no phenomenon are other than awakened mind. Very good. We could pause it there at the root verses for next time. That is a topic of discussion that we could go in depth with, the primordial purity of phenomenon, of all appearances. So it's great that we discussed it and explored it and unpacked it a little bit. And again, it's quite radical, when we got crazy things going on in our world, to begin to see the purity behind the veil of our inferences. Okay, so are there any final thoughts, comments, questions before we check out today? Happy that 30 people stayed overtime. I appreciate you. I appreciate your Dharma commitment. Okay, very good. I think we had a wonderful unpacking there of a essential point. I appreciate it so much. Yeah, it is fascinating. And what's crazy is I've loved it for years now, and it's not burning out. So that's really great. But I really only like it when I'm here with you guys. Man, I can't watch certain YouTube videos and stuff like that. It's difficult to get anything deep about Dzogchen unless you go to a private retreat, and even then, it's hard to get what you want. Victor said, before I got into any spirituality, I had the sense that in a dream, I was everyone there, and therefore, in waking life, I was everyone also. Chökyi says also. Well, in a sense that you're creating them, with your mind, there's a great intimacy there. But, you still have your mind. Gyatchen, Leo, Tao, Yishin, they all have their minds. But we're in a collective. So just like two light bulbs coming together, right? Their luminosity can meet in a non-dual environment. So these are all a bunch of light bulbs. We got 31 light bulbs in here today. And it's getting brighter for the collective, isn't it? You see how we can benefit all beings? Yeah. Well, a lot of you have profound yogic roots, in my opinion. And that's why I praise you and hold you in such high regard. And I see that in your eyes and your sharings and everything. And your power is there. You guys are exceptional, wondrous beings. And it's only because of the internet that we came all together in one place. Otherwise, it probably wouldn't have happened. All right. Well, let's end with a few mantras just because it's this really powerful time. Los are considered cosmically juiced up right now. So, yeah, typically watch your negativity. It's considered multiplied many times. Oh, good morning, little bear. Good morning. All right. Little bear has been doing really great on his diet. He's getting a little plump. Now he's on an exercise diet routine. And he's actually accepted it. He used to try to eat everybody's food and stuff his belly, but now he only eats his, and he understands he's on a diet. You're a smart baby, aren't you? All right. Okay. Little Bear just had to be here for the closing ceremonies. So yeah, there are a lot of people, we have our sangha that's always going through stuff. So I want to offer this mantra for protection and nourishment, the White Tar mantra for our sangha, and then of course for all sentient beings that are in this presence, that are confused, injured, sick. May somehow we dedicate and give everything that we have to them, to this mantra. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Mama Yo Punye Jana Puten Guru Soha Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Mama Yo Punye Jana Puten Guru Soha Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Mama Yo Punye Jana Puten Guru Soha. And we'll do a dedication mantra. Any realization, any good that has come from this gathering today, we give it to all the sentient beings. Gewa magin dodo kolano. Gewa magin dodo kolano. Gewa magin dodo kolano. And deep bow to you, my fellow yogis.